What's up everybody, welcome back to Jeep TV. I'm Brett and today we're going to be checking out the Smittybilt 9,500 pound winch. We're going to look into getting it mounted up and checking out all the wiring, and that way you guys will know how to do it to your very own. First thing we're going to do is dive into the box and check out the goods. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, got some wiring guides here. Kind of shows what everything is. It's pretty cool. It's got some, I guess, instructions, So we'll dive in, we'll look at the instructions really quick. See what this has to offer. Oh, that's cool. It's like a book. Alright, so it's got a nice install manual, point for point, screw to screw, pretty descriptive, especially on the electrical connections. And look, it's got a picture of a Jeep, so you're going to be mounting this on a Jeep based on directions for a Jeep. So that's really cool. So let's go ahead and open this up. Maybe this is. May take a minute to get this puppy out. Golly, that's heavy. It is. Probably weighs 80 pounds. Maybe not 80, maybe like 65, 70. So it's pretty heavy. I got two more boxes here, or one more. It's probably going to be wiring. That's kind of a pain in the butt. Everything seems to be pretty heavy duty. Little control, so you can control the winch. This is going to go to your battery, obviously. Ground. Let's see if there's anything else. Awesome. And this is going to be this is where the fair lead goes, and that's where you're going to be bringing your cable out to help direct and roll it in. That's cool. I've never owned a winch, so I don't know hardly anything about them. So, but anyways, we'll get through this together. There's quite a bit here, a lot of wiring. I think that the hardest part's probably going to be getting it mounted up as far as getting it on your Jeep and what type of bumper you have. Alright, so this is going to be your wiring solenoid. So basically this is where all the magic happens. So you've got your power in and out. And this is all going to get plugged in onto the winch. This is your controller, plugs into the side. You've got out and in, and one of the cool things about this little gun is it's actually magnetic, so that way you don't drop it down in the dirt, in the water, mud, anything like that. You just stick it to the bumper, and it's a very high powered magnet. Moving along, this is going to be a ground wire, and on the back of the winch, this is where all the magic happens. So you've got your ground, this is probably a control, power, and this is going to be probably another, or your neutral. But one thing you need to make sure you're aware of, number one, the factory bumpers should be fine to hold any really size winch. When it comes to aftermarket bumpers, you want to make sure on width and stuff, sometimes you can only fit certain size winches onto certain bumpers. So make sure you do a little bit of homework there. But for the most part, a 9500 and a Smittybilt are going to be able to fit into most of all bumpers and all applications. Alright guys, you're going to want to use a 18, 16, and 5/16 millimeter socket set. You're also going to need a shallow 18 millimeter socket set with a hand wrench. You're also going to need a set of Allen wrenches and or a screwdriver with certain Allen wrench heads that you can swap out. And of course, handy dandy zip ties. Okay, so there's 3 ways of installing this solenoid. So you can mount it here. Bye bud, we'll see ya. You can mount it right here and or like that right here. So the brackets have 3 different ways so that you can mount this up. The way that we are going to do it is we're going to do the side mount. So this bracket is literally going to go right here. It's going to mount up right here. I think it's going to be a nice clean look. I just want to make sure this is nice and, you know, low. I don't want anything obstructing airflow to the Jeep. Alright, so you're going to unloosen the screw, slide the mount in, and the screw that you removed from the body, you're putting it back down in the hole of the mount. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we are going to mount this up. So let me show you that step next. Alright, so once you get this on here, you want to leave it a little bit loose and then come on over here to the other side. This is going to be a little slow over here because you only got so much room to work with, so just go ahead and start wrenching this in and then that'll get that tightened up. Alright guys, once you get the screw in on this side, you get the screw in on this side, it's going to basically float. Not sure if I really like that or not. It being set on top, it might be a little bit more sturdy, but I do like it off to the side though. You're going to take a 13mm and you're going to put the proper wires from the solenoid to the indicated letter on the actual winch motor. So it's very simple. So you take the D wire, put it with the D lug, C wire with the C lug, and then the B wire with the B lug. Then you have a very small A ground wire. Take the A and you're going to put it on the very bottom back here. And then the last thing you're going to do is run the actual power wire, and then you're going to take this long ground wire and run it from A all the way back to the battery as well. So we're almost done. Okay, so we've got our 2 ground wires on, this little one and the larger one right here. We've also got the power wire. I've got it coming down and through the wires. So we're gonna get all these wires, we're gonna get them zip tied up, and we'll take this over to the Jeep and get it mounted up and see what it looks like. Ooh, pretty tight squeeze. Wow, that's gonna be really tight. Alright, so I'm working on getting the wires back in here. I'm trying to be very, I guess, discreet with the wiring, trying to get them all tucked back. So get the power wire, we've got the ground wire, and really depending on your setup and how tight your bumper is to your grill, which mine actually cut a lot off, it's very, very close.
Take a picture
So
of me.
a lot of people cut their grills out right here in this area. So I'm not gonna do that, hopefully, but if I have to, I'll have to cut the bottom part of this out. Alright, comes with a pack of 4 bolts. You take your nut and you put the nut, if you can look down in there, zoom down in there.
How do I get down?
So the nut sits inside there, and then you go below and you try to fish the bolt up into the body of the winch. So we got the Fairlead mount obviously on here. This is the Fairlead little roller. So the last thing we have to do is mount this up. I've gotten the bolts underneath the Jeep very ever so slightly tightened up, so this will be able to slide back and forth. So once we get everything tightened up, I should be able to take this Fairlead and slide it back, and it will almost be touching the body of the winch. So there's about 1.5 inches here that we're gonna slide back. The tricky part is once I do all this, I'm gonna send my stuff off to be powder coated.
Daddy, Bruno, get out.
Yeah, so we've got everything mounted up.
No.
The next thing we're gonna do is worry about the wiring to the battery. What's up?
Let the door open.
Sorry.
Now you let the doors on. Now you have to put them back in all by itself.
Alright, so what we've done is we have taken the wires out and through the underside of the front grill, and we've taken them back up through the body right above the power steering fluid reservoir. So we've got it coming straight through this crack. You got your air box, so the wires are going to go underneath the air box. I actually tucked them back in so that way I can close the hood a little bit ago. So now we are going to connect our ground and our power. So we've got our ground wire ran over here, and we are going to get it up here. We've got our power wire run along the channel, and we're just going to drop it down in here and come across the battery, which will be fine. There's only 3 terminals available, and this is supposed to lock it down, so we're going to use the far right terminal. So we've got our power wire on. It's be pretty tight. Now we've got our electrical, our negative electrical end, and we are going to come back this way and lay it straight across there. So it's like so, and then boom. So that one's going to go there just like that. And then I went and got new nuts to put on here, because I really didn't have too much for grounds for now. It's tight. It's good. Got everything nice and neat, straight. The electrical comes back this way, and obviously it drops back down behind the power steering reservoir. Comes out down below, so I can get the camera back in here. There that is. Comes out right below. Comes out. Right to the winch. That's what we're trying to get out. Alright, so we have power. So here's our gun. So what we're going to do is we are going to let this unspool. We're going to unspool it. We're going to pull tension on it. And then we're going to let it run back in. That way you get all the slack out. See how it's moving? Let's get all that tension on there from our ship wound up. And you can take it out into the yard and go even further back with it, which is probably what we're going to do. I'll probably pull it out here in the yard, and then I'll unspool it, and then we'll roll it back in. That way all that binding is going to happen, because every time it's unloaded, it's unbinding itself even further down the chain. So you gotta start at the very beginning and roll it all the way back up. But yeah, one neat feature about this gun, this line's really long, and if you're ever out on the trails, you know, you don't have to lay it down. You can literally just put it there. It should catch there, really anywhere. But for the most part, you're done. I mean, you've got your 3 main wires on this, your 2 wires up top, your negative and positive, and then on top of that, routing it and getting it there is probably the hardest part. Mounting this thing up, you know, it was a chore, but you can do it single-handedly with one person. So, anyways, let's get this thing in the yard and we'll spool this thing out. Alright, so you can go to free spool, but let me just show you how hard it is to pull this. I'm about 185 pounds and I'm really having to get it all I can. So that's why it's easier to motor it out rather than to free spool it out. So you can free spool it, but yeah, so I'm gonna put it back and then you really don't want to run this for a long period of time. Like, you want to do it and then take a break. And then you're going to want to do it a little bit more and take a break because you really don't want to burn your motor up. Alright, so we're almost to the end of the spool. Alright, so right there, that's where you want to begin. That's exactly where you want to begin. So we've got all this stuff. So the best thing to do is just to hold tension and spool it in. Just hold it against itself and it will do its thing. Alright guys, that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already, hit that like button and drop a comment down below with any questions you have. Smittybilt, it's a really nice product. It's very bulky. I do eventually think I'll get rid of the rolling fair lead and go with just a flush mount one. There's a lot of different upgrades you can do with these, but I wanted to install everything that came with the kit that I could. Anyways, thank you guys again. Peace out. Take care. Keep jeeping.